he's the most unsung, underrated, big time player in college soccer. I'm not sure there's even a close race. He doesn't have a Twitter account.
That was Coach Sasho Cirovski talking about his defender Chris Odoi-Atsem and the impact he has on this Maryland team. The University of Maryland men's soccer team travels to Northwestern this weekend for a Friday night game. I'm Emily Olsen, and you're listening to WMUC Sports. Cirovski and company are #1 for the second week in a row in the national rankings, but that doesn't faze Coach Cirovski much. #1 for another week in a row.
We were happy with the way we played last week. I thought it was our best game of the year. I thought we, played with the type of defensive tenacity and attacking malice that is the identity of Maryland soccer. So we don't talk about rankings right now. Northwestern is a challenge for us because the last 2 years we haven't played well against them. We haven't closed the games out very well, and we've lost a couple of games very late. One in overtime and one just before overtime, and so they've got our attention right now. Not the ranking, nothing else.
As far as looking to your team, those past few years, it seemed that when you were going into these Northwestern games, you were looking to kind of build this identity, but this team seems to have a core identity going in. How much does that help?
Yeah, I think we're in a better place going into this game than we were each of the last 2 years. We struggled to score. Our record wasn't great, and this was a game that always was our sort of turning point. But we lost each time. I think right now we're in a good place and looking forward to this challenge. But they're just a gritty, disciplined, opportunistic team, and they have some players that can make a difference. We've seen that over the last few years. So I think it's a challenge that we're all looking forward to because I think we all feel real empty the last 2 years against Northwestern.
In the past, the back line has been one of the more consistent areas of this team, and last game and a little bit this season, you've seen a little rotation at right back and center back, adding Donovan Pines. Is that just testing out, getting ready for these seniors that are graduating, trying to make sure the team continues to grow? Or
no, it's just been situational things, whether it's players have been a little fatigued or we played a lot of games in hot weather with cramping issues. Whether we needed maybe a little more size because teams were going to push late in games to set pieces. It's just situational substitution. There's been no sort of real testing going on. But I have some very good players in the back, like Donovan and Miles and Andrew Samuels that are worthy of playing. It's just tough to fit them all in the back.
I talked to Chris Odoi-Atsem a little bit. He's a senior now. He's been a big part of this defense, whether it's at center back or now in a more natural position, but still, I would say, and I say constantly, underrated. Would you say that he works hard and he's a little underrated back there?
No, he's the most unsung, underrated, big time player in college soccer. I'm not sure there's even a close race. He doesn't have a Twitter account. He might be the only person that doesn't have a Twitter account. He just does his thing. Wherever you place him, he does a good job. He keeps getting better every game. He's a great young man to coach. He's a supreme competitor, unbelievably proud, and he's always been a huge part of our team for 4 years, and that's why he's a staple in our team every time I put that lineup on the board. Yeah, he has great speed, recovery speed, and we play with a high line. We can be exposed on counterattacks. So he was a guy that, because of his concentration, competitiveness, and pure speed, was able to do a great job for us as a center back. But we knew that was a short-term solution. We recruited him to play outside back for us, and he did play in his freshman year a little bit until we had to shift him to the back. But we decided after his sophomore year that we weren't going to make him a permanent right back, and I think he's just flourished in that position.
As a senior, the right back Chris Odoi-Atsem has become one of more of the quiet leaders on this Maryland team, choosing to lead by example rather than words. But on a team that is constantly second week number one, that's looked up to as this great powerhouse, do you like the fact that you can come in there and sprint up the right side and be able to kind of shock everyone when you do assist, or do you think you're shocking people when you do it at all?
I don't know if that's a question for me. You gotta ask other people, but I know as my team, they're not shocked at all. They see me when I get the ball in a one-on-one situation. They expect me to beat that defender every time and get in a good cross. So that's not shocking for them. I know that's why they're in good spots when I cross the ball, because they know the ball's coming.
That you used to play attack a little bit more, and I was listening in, and you said that you took pride in your assists. Is that a mentality that you've always had, or?
Yeah, I've always had that. I was a forward all the way through high school, but I'm not a traditional forward, so I getting goals wasn't my favorite thing to do. It was really getting assists. I took more pride in that, and I just had more joy in seeing my team score the goal instead of myself.
And when did Coach Cirovski tell you that you were going to be a big part of the defense here when you came to Maryland? When did you first realize that transition was happening?
I started out really early on my freshman year as a right back, and then I was taken out of the lineup, and then got my opportunity again at center back. And I didn't even know I was going to play that game, but it was a UVA game. I think we were down maybe 2-1 or 2-0. 2-0. And one of our players got hurt, and so Sasho got me ready. He threw me in at center back, and I played the rest of the season at center back, yeah.
And as far as playing the outside back that you've played now 2 seasons, how much is your speed your weapon? Because you're definitely one of the faster guys going up and down all game on that right side.
It's a big part of my game. It's always been my whole life. I just try to use that as much as possible and get in behind defenders and the defense and just use my speed.
And as far as looking forward to Northwestern, mentioned before that you guys have lost to them in the recent past in the Big Ten, and it's been at a time in the season when the team's really trying to find that identity, but it seems as though this team has an identity already, and they have a good core going into this game. How does that compare to previous years going into Northwestern?
Yeah, previous years going into Northwestern, it was the team was really struggling, both teams, the past 2 years. This year we've gone off to a really good start. We're still undefeated, so we're a little more confident going into these types of games. So I think we're really well prepared and ready to get it going on Friday.
And is there any little bit of concern that there might be overconfidence? I know that Northwestern doesn't have that great of a record, and you guys are coming in, again, number one there.
No, like I said, we never beaten this team, so we're definitely taking this game really seriously. So there's no overconfidence. We're real humble going to this game. We should play well.
With Chris's help on the senior back line and leading scorer Gordon Wild, the University of Maryland looks to take down Northwestern Friday at 8 p.m. This has been WMUC Sports, your Terps, your station.